head. You said it had to end. I wasn't ready then. If I could hold you one more night, I wouldn't try to change your mind. I'd just die there in that light, you and I. If this is over, let me say I loved you more than words could say. Even now, it won't fade, you and I.
All right, hello, welcome everybody to This Week in Illuvium. I'm getting ready in just a moment's time. We've got a handful of things to talk about, of course, with being the main thing for this week, essentially being an Illuvium Arena patch, but it's brought things back rather than, I guess, adding new things, so to speak. We'll go through all of that, of course, in just a couple of moments' time. First off, of course, hello to everybody in the chat. Big Man JB, I see you here nice and early. Hello, good to see you. It's going well over here. Hope all's going well for you as well. Fighting a couple of PC gremlins here today, to say the least. Things seem to be chugging a little bit. My computer might be a little overdue for a quick dusting. Get the spray can out and dust that thing off, but we'll see. Otherwise, everything's a-okay. Definitely enjoying the new patch, being able to actually feel like I can fight for myself for a little bit. It's definitely nice to see. It's been a little while since we felt that. So speaking about it, let's hop on to it basically right away here. Hop on over into the news. Of course, patch 1.17.3. The big thing with this is that it actually reverts the synergies in Illuvium Arena to what they were maybe a month or two ago, back when they were the more complex synergies. And with this as well, they're trying their damnedest to fix some of these other bugs, but they also removed a few things as well. We'll go through everything nice and quick over here. But with the bots and the Rangers levels, a big issue that a lot of players were finding in the arena over the last little bit is that the bots would be leveled way too easy. So when you do go up against them and you beat them, it was way too simple. You'd hardly get any experience from it, and it was essentially not worth your time. I think that's been adjusted at least a little bit, because I tell you what, like, I can't sleep on the bots anymore. If I'm being too greedy, they will kill me. So that is an absolute nice change there. I do like that. Then with the Ranger, at least for today when I was playing, it did feel like my Ranger actually had levels. It was around level 32 or so for me over the last little bit. When in the past, it'd be stuck at like level 1 or level 2 or something ridiculous like that. So some work definitely has been done. Is it perfect yet? We'll have to see, but as of right now, it's at least better than where it was. The Abyssal Basin battle board being removed, thank God. As much as I didn't mind the game mode assigned to Abyssal Basin, the fact that the Abyssal Basin battle board would consistently cause those massive FPS drops was absolutely brutal and borderline unplayable. It would drop your FPS right to single digits unless you were using potato mode, which even then it was very weak, but like very low even still, and definitely not optimal. It looks like they haven't necessarily figured out exactly what's going on there with that battle board, so to be safe, they have finally removed it, thank goodness. And of course, with that, there's going to be some balance adjustments. That's going to be the huge thing here, because again, with all the synergies reverting back to their previous state, the sheet here, actually, the patch notes aren't even going to necessarily do it justice anymore. I'll have a full video coming out in the next little bit, in particular about every synergy in the game, kind of going over what they do. But the gist of it is that for those that maybe just be joining us and learned on the easier synergies, and now we're going back to having to relearn everything all again. Basically, each of these synergies would have a max threshold of sorts. And with that, a bonus effect attached to hitting that max threshold. So say the one that I always go to, of course, is say bulwarks, for example. Just by getting certain thresholds of bulwarks will give you resistances now. But if you happen to hit 5 bulwarks, then you start getting some sort of reflective damage back to your attacker based off of your resistances. So there's additional effects like that. Fighters, for example, it's still going to say attack speed, but what it doesn't say here is that if you hit max threshold of fighters, which I think is 7, you do get healing, a percentage of the damage you deal. And bonus effects like that all over the place. Same thing here. Empath, it says shield, but even that's changed. It's no longer on feint. Any of the on feint effects are thankfully gone. No more exploiting those with the gorilla clones or with the T-Roo cubs. None of that anymore. So when you see shield here for empath, you basically get a small max health based shield every 8 seconds and at the start of battle, if I recall correctly. So it's a much more tolerable. The shields aren't as big, but they come out more often. So it still acts like a pseudo heal of sorts. And it's still very useful, especially if you can get the later stages of it. So empath is finally at what I would argue is a reasonable place. Scions, again, Omega Power, but now you do have some more effects attached to that. Same thing here with the rogues. The other big changes. Air is no longer going to be in regards to energy resistance anymore. It's going back to the way it was, back to dodge. Because again, if you think of the entire Illuvial set in, or all the Illuvials in Illuvium, the air units don't have a bulwark Illuvial attached to them. Because I feel like they were designed with dodge in mind. Where, sure, you have, say, Jotun. It's a fighter, but it's relatively tanky. You have the Mammoth, the Mamu, or they were able to... It's a Scion, but it's meant to be like a tankier Scion, so to speak. And dodging was the big way that they would go through that, especially with Tempest, which we'll talk about in a minute. And instead of being a direct traditional tank, it was more of a dodging tank, which was kind of interesting. Water's still going to be based around energy regeneration. Earth is going back to mitigation, which is just a flat rate coming off of any damage taken. Colossus gets the fun version of Colossus back once again here, where you're getting max HP if you happen to hit Colossus, and then even if it's not the Caradullox. Of course, Caradullox has a taunt built in to its kit, but now all Colossus units would then get a taunt and gain thorns every couple of seconds here, every 8 seconds as of right now. So it made it very disruptive and very, very tanky. Harbinger, this is the much better version of Harbinger. I'm absolutely loving this here, where basically the lower health you get, the more Omega Power and resistances in turn you get. So you're playing with fire a little bit, but if you survive, it can lead to a lot of comeback scenarios. And then my favorite play style outside of Scions and Invokers was Aegis. I loved turning Aegis into everything. Heck, even earlier today, I think I tried Mud Aegis and got a podium with that one. But it's basically built to supercharge the units next to your Aegis units. So if you want to stack it all onto one, or maybe split it over across a couple, you definitely could, but being able to buff the resistances, attack damage, and attack speed of the nearest ally to you. What I ended up doing here today was Mud Aegis, where I had the Ranger, the Blotto, and my Archelion all touching a Exalted Monk here that happened to have had the Berserker's Flurry, so it had the extra attack speed and range on it. And just turning it into essentially a super carry. And you could do this, I'd argue you could probably do this with at least 1 or 2 Illuvials of essentially every element, making it a very flexible but fun play style. So I'm so happy to have Aegis back here. Even though the Aegis they tried was okay, I like this one way more. Berserkers, every 3rd attack, you're going to get some additional % health damage and attack speed. Arcanite's going back to the better one as well. It's a little bit more complicated in the sense that there's percentages of attack speed as Omega Power, and then some of that energy cost being turned into attack damage, but it is way better than the every 3 shots gain like 2 attack damage and Omega power or something along those lines. That was absolutely negligible. This brings Arcanites right back into the swing of things. So I imagine the Taipan, the Snakes, or the Fury line is going to see a lot more play now. It definitely has a place, and I mean, we've seen plenty of Phosphorus anyway. That part's not going to change. Phosphorus is just so good still. Behemoth, every 4 attacks, you're going to deal additional healing, damage, and of course the stun. Mystic, this is the only one that still has on ally feints labeled, or no, it has it here too. That's kind of weird, but it's not actually on ally feint here. Basically, when your ally gets to about half health, I believe, they get additional damage reduction and damage amplification for the rest of combat. So you want them to dip low a little bit, but then hopefully get healed back up, so you get a massive amount of tank and damage. But you have to kind of tiptoe across that threshold of about half health. Templar went back to stealing attack damage and resistances from the target and sharing them to allies. Revenant, of course, has been switched. No more of that on feint bull crap. It is now just in regards to crits like it used to be, where the crits will give the lowest percent health ally a shield for a couple of seconds and empower their next attack. Of course, this does lead to a little bit of nervousness for those that remember the Death Pangu. Well, it is definitely back, but I'll take this over Old Revenant, to say the least. And what I'm extremely happy about, of course, is the Invokers, where every single cast for Invokers takes a percentage of the energy cost of that spell and turns it into Omega power for all of your Invokers. This has been absolutely huge. I've been able to get some pretty incredible levels of Omega power. I've been able to actually punch through shields again and feel essentially the prize, feel the progression, and feel just the dopamine hit of just surviving long enough to let my Invokers ramp up and then watching them try to clutch something out at the end. It has been a lot of fun. I'm so happy that Invokers is back to this kind of play style. Enchanters as well, instead of it just being every couple of seconds having some damage and healing, now it's based off of the enchanters actually casting their Omega. So a lot of times you'll get to your Kukulus and then your Ranger early on, for example. Every time they fire off an Omega, they do end up doing some damage and healing, which is quite nice. Phantoms now gain Omega power every time they crit, and they do have brief untargetability at the beginning of the round. Predators have a little bit of a double whammy here with the execution or the execution damage. If your target is low enough health, you get bonus damage. Vanguards are back to the old Vanguard now, where you can get additional damage based off of the target's max health when you crit. And then Slayer, I imagine we're probably still not going to see, but I feel like that's more so due to the Illuvials using it. But the idea is that you would be getting pure damage whenever you eliminate somebody. We'll try to go through these affinities a little bit quicker because, of course, like I said, I did make a video on it, but this is still news. I do need to talk about it here and now. But the idea is now Inferno, it's not just a 10-second and it's over thing. Right off the first cast of an Inferno unit, it will stay burning and doing damage over time as long as the Inferno lives. Themes changed as well now, where it gets energy per second it's energy per second and then permanent damage amp. So sure enough, while the longer you can keep that Steam team going, it's another way to ramp up and do more damage. Now, Shock, I'd argue, is probably one of the biggest losers in this patch, going back to its old way, where it just ends up shocking the 2 furthest enemies for a flat rate of energy damage. I'd argue that the amount of damage that it does is just on the low side. I had tried a full 4 shock team earlier today, and I felt like I couldn't kill a damn thing. I got killed by bots, so that's a little alarming. I imagine we'll take a look at that sometime soon. Granite still giving temporary invulnerability, sure enough. Magma lets you get some tankiness, some mitigation for allies standing in it now. So a little bit of offense and defense. Mud is back where it finally steals attack damage and omega power from targets for a few seconds. Then there's, of course, being able to spread those stats when a mud unit ends up dying. So the good mud, the strong mud is back. But of course, the risky version of mud, considering you're rolling hard for tier 1 units. If you get like heavily contested at all, that could be troublesome. Tsunami might be one of the other classes that maybe took a little bit of an L here, because I'd argue that Tsunami was starting to actually show up a little bit in the previous patch alongside Toxic and some other synergies, just getting a bunch of bulwarks, maybe even getting Colossus and going Tsunami. But now it's just back to refunding energy costs. But what it also doesn't say here is the splash, the AoE damage that comes around every time you use an Omega as a Tsunami unit. That is now back into the game. Of course, Toxic inflicts the poison now, damage over time, plus explosion on elimination. That's definitely going to be fun to see. Frost, some people have been saying Frost hasn't necessarily been working properly yet, but the idea is that you like lower attack speed, you get a shield at about half health, and some damage amp on top of that. Of course, in the chat we have our... I'll assign you as our Tsunami expert of sorts, Big Man JB. Of course, anytime the Axodon can get thrown into a team composition, I know you do. Yeah, just when it was starting to get good, yeah. Hopefully, getting the damage now, and then hopefully the regeneration from it is still enough to be good. It's just a little unfortunate that I'd argue a lot of other team comps are also going to be buffed a little bit. So hopefully Tsunami doesn't get left behind. Verdant is back to the style where it triggers at half HP, or the Verdant Puddle will come on through and give the healing zone. But again, it's based off of a flat rate, so the amount of healing is rather low until you get to the max threshold, where it changes to a percentage. Bloom was crazy in the last patch. It's still going to be something very similar, where you're gaining max health, health regen, and omega power. Dust actually requires skill again, because it's attached to the units themselves now. So say Revo rolling around all the place, the dust cloud that it provides or expels is only a small area around it. So you gotta position your Revo in a perfect spot to be able to hit the maximum amount of dust. And even then, it's only a blind now. No more blind plus silence. That was absolutely crazy. But the blind coming on through. Thankfully, at least dust is rather easy to hit. So if it feels a little bit underwhelming, I mean, it's one of those things that you can kind of splash into any comp if you really wanted to. But we'll definitely have to see. It's going to be a fall from grace, that's for sure, compared to the last patch with the Revenants. But I'd argue they'd still be all right. Wildfire, again, where you use your, or a Wildfire unit uses their Omega, then sets a target on fire, but it'll slowly but surely spread to more enemies. Tempest is actually relatively decent now, back to its old way where it's based off of raising the enemy's energy cost and then gaining energy and omega power whenever you dodge. So Kugaraf and Mamu or Matu are going to be enjoying that. Spore, of course, probably a lot of people would probably argue that this is a weaker variant of Spore, or just every time they use their omega now, they'll heal the percent of their health and then enemies lose some energy. I mean, that is probably weaker compared to on any feint nuke your enemies attack damage and omega power for a few seconds. But this does allow for, say, your Adorito or for your Familiar to go absolutely nuts in a longer style of fight without just artificially delaying it due to nerfing stats. But that's basically the gist of it in regards to the patch notes. We need to find a good combination between the two patches. There's a good thing in both. I completely agree. Like, I would be interested, I think, say, for Tsunami in particular, getting the additional damage is going to be cool, but we just need to make sure that that energy refund is up to a good spot, in my opinion. Because, yeah, the Axodon or the Geyser, Flood, what have you, just constantly firing up these bubbles and firing up the heals over and over and over again. That was a really fun team composition, and I can see it going a little bit crazy now that the damage is back online, but the energy refund needs to actually be there. And then shock, I wish it was, honestly, I kind of do wish that it was the old shock where it was just 10 seconds and done based off of max percent, because that kind of falls in line with what shock's game plan is, right? It's just to whittle you down extremely quickly so that hopefully Octius or Aphisto can finish you off. That makes sense to me. That would be actually a fun combination, and I did enjoy doing that in the old patch, even if it was only for 10 seconds and then the effect was gone. But it made sense with that kind of playstyle. So yeah, there's definitely some good things in both. The biggest losers, they're like in terms of the Illuvials themselves, like let's trying to think about it off the top of my head. I mean, Axodon definitely takes a little bit of a hit, but it gets the better version of Harbinger, so I'd argue that probably balances it out a little bit. Of course, shock as a whole is probably a little bit worse for wear. The thing to note too is a lot of the Illuvials that had their Omegas changed going into the new system, those Omegas are still the same. They didn't get reverted back to the way they were. So say something like Umber, for example, or the Rake, just the Thylacine line, they still run on the way where it's dodge instead of untargetable. And we'll have to see. I've seen some good Rakes and good Umbers. I think Fury's absolutely destroyed me with one this morning, actually. So it was good to see that there's still a spot for it, but it's definitely a lot harder than what it used to be. Gorilla as well. While it takes forever to actually charge up your Omega, at least it chunks when you do fire it out. Rai being able to fight for itself with both attack damage and healing regardless of how much health it has, and all the other changes to the Illuvials as well. Kuka and its stun, like, it's interesting to see that it's kind of mixed up, but this is definitely a much better spot. And this is what I was saying to everybody in the Discord as well, right? Obviously it's not going to be perfect. I don't want to make it sound like reverting back to this meta in a perfect scenario, but it's definitely way better than what we had with the exploitable, uninteresting Revenant and just on feint effects. This is so much nicer now because, again, they're talking over and over that this is the old changes were meant to help onboarding. The synergies had nothing to do with the onboarding problems, I can promise you that. In regards to the arena itself, let's take a look and see what's going on in the Illuva Vault. I'm very curious to see as to what has been kind of taking off since the patch has come on through. The Restorating Impact Reactor right back up to the top, alongside some of our tankier augments here as well. Dense Stasis, Resurging, it's all there. Synchronizing Pulse Reactor is back. Thankfully, that bug is gone where it used to stack onto each other on this patch. That is not going to be a thing anymore, thankfully. And then that's another one there I just mentioned there too, JV. Caredulox getting the... You told me this before. It was Caredulox got max HP whenever it used its Omega, right? Alongside the Thorns. So yeah. The Water Buffalo is hurting a little bit in that regard. In regards to the team compositions, if we're shooting for a top 3, what has been going through, it looks like it's been either a mixture of Granite Mystic or some sort of Magma Templar style coming on through. With Mystic taking the main style of it, I realize it's not on my screen once again. Let's fix this nice and quick. You know, there we go, that's better. So the Shadow Maul currently being labeled as your best weapon in the game thanks to Granite Mystic or Magma Templar. Right short to follow happens to be the Emberling Rod, so the Scion's getting some love here, but it's not actually been for Scion specific builds. It's been all with Verdant, so we're seeing Verdant Darkonite that come help buff up a Forest, or even doing Verdant Harbinger, or even Verdant Enchanter showing up there a little bit, but it's been more so the Verdant Darkonite and the Verdant Harbinger styles coming on through here of the Emberling Rod. quite the overwhelming win rate here, though, actually, for the Shadow Mall to make it top 3, 71%. That's kind of crazy. Yet I'm not really seeing it on the ranked ladder that much, I feel like, so not Revenant levels of crazy, but definitely something to keep an eye on, I'm sure. We do see the Lava Gauntlet, one of the worst weapons in the old patch, now coming back and getting onto the podium here for the third best weapon to try and get a top 3 with, and that is going for the old school Inferno Arcanite build, it looks like, or even Magma Invoker or Wildfire Harbinger, a potential way to play it. We're actually seeing the Strike Boomerang come up here as well with the exact same idea. Inferno Arcanite coming on through, but you're pairing this up with your Ace or your Monarch in this instance, or going over and doing a Templar style alongside your Blasonite for some Wildfire Templar. Fire going to show up once again here as the final weapon of choice here to get into the top 3. 5th best weapon here currently as a Magma Mystic kind of style or Magma Enchanter, it looks like. Arctasis here as well, and that's for Fur Knight. Okay, so yeah, basically Magma Mystic or Magma Enchanter or Wildfire Enchanter seems to be the ideas coming out from these team comps. Hunter's Precision right back on top, of course, as well. It's just too damn good of suits. Can never go wrong with a little bit of attack range and true sight, I feel like. Definitely happily take a look at that. But how about our weapons, our entire weapons list? We see what the best ones are. If we take a look at the other 2 spots, say in regards to actually winning the lobby, it's pretty much the same all around, but it's actually going to be Quake Maulers. The Rogues are showing up here as well to potentially get, of course, some sort of Vanguard play, some sort of possibly Revenants here as well. It looks like Granite's Vanguard seems to be the one doing the best here. We see the Goliath showing up there quite nicely, so a little bit different compared to what we see with the top 3s, but otherwise everything else still pretty much the same. I don't really see any other outliers on quick glance, but again, here our full list for the effective weapons. Quake Maulers is actually 2nd overall. Looks like if we take win rate into consideration, that was for completion, so back to win rate. The Vinebound Cleaver, I mean, before we did go to the systems change, Verdant Vanguard was a very common playstyle. Potentially seeing that come back here with the Vinebound Cleaver. Arrow Edge showing up here as well. And then there's the first of the Scion weapons, I would argue, actually being used for Scion purposes. That's going to be the Earthgrass Scepter up there. Amber Bastion, Lava Gauntlet, Ripple Flail, the Elderwood Staff from one of the best weapons to the game, falling back to the mid-pack. So basically the worst weapons of the game as of right now, your bottom 3, the Sprout Guard, so the Scion Shield, the Rogue Water Weapon, the Tidal Shiv, and then the Ranged Air Fighter Weapon with the Galewind Bow. While still being used, it does not seem like it's gotten a single win so far here in this current patch, so those weapons falling a little bit behind, so to speak. And of course, with it being Wednesday, we are very close to the next leaderboard snapshot. So let's take a look at our leaderboard. Let's start off with everybody on the Illuvium Beyond side of things. Hop on over, take a look at our top 20. Of course, yours truly, we did make the leaderboard once again just outside or just inside of the top 50. But Alexa went absolutely nuts. Of course, it's the set 1 leaderboard. Changing the profile up a little bit. But again, Alexa, Final Boss, Hyper Hunter, Hector, we've seen them on stream many a time, Samsara, Leader Acola, Jub, Steve, and Bon Daddy Ratty, and then Mixine for your top 10 here on the Illuvium Beyond set 1 side of things. If we flip it over to this wave in particular, which of course its own separate leaderboard, Leader Acola doing a hell of a job here on the wave 5 front, putting a big push in right before the snapshot, and nice little change there. Money Shot 69 alongside Jub here as well for the top 3. Mothpuck going to take 4th, Spartak for 5th, Alexa there as well, but for 6th, Balu 7th, Killer Sloth, here's Hyper Hunter again, and Biddy Bobbly going to wrap up our top 10. But of course, for this, I believe it was the top, well, let's double check. Don't let me speculate. Let's double check. So yeah, for Beyond, there's rewards going all the way down to the top 250. So I know I'm personally happy, thanks to all of the help from the Illuvium community for helping get my own Illuvium Beyond collection kind of up and running a little bit. Does allow us to get into the leaderboards a little bit, and my ability to get some additional fuel for House League, for example, House League rewards and whatnot, is incredible. That way, regardless of what, if I happen to get any sort of sponsored prizing, I can at least, at the very minimum, supply prizing out of my own pocket without needing to pay for it, if that makes sense. It's all coming from leaderboards. It's from the community, it stays in the community. So I'm very happy about that. If we take a look at Gauntlet, it's currently Fox Spirit alongside Axel from, or Fox Spirit from Atlas. We got Axel from Apex, Dr. Spoon, currently labeled as third as of this moment, with Sir Dexter, Afflunk, Draknian, Nuts, Zypet, Kirizawa, which I believe used to be Phantom, or Carl from Phantom. So it was a new name to me until I realized, wait a second, okay, that's Carl. So fair enough, Carl's a fantastic player. They've been moving up here as well, with Warrior Ace, Goofy Ramfire, Tank the Bank, Wolverine, Badul, and Droa, G-Hamster, Kirito Hype, Squawk, Antoshino, and then there I am, right on the bubble there for the 20th spot, which is kind of frustrating. That's actually a, if I go any lower, that's a rewards loser, right? Well, maybe I have to pick up the pace here on this show so I can squeak in a ranked game or two and make sure that I get myself at least to 18th or something like that. Let's make sure we get into the, and we stay in the $10 rewards category. One arena rewards category I am absolutely nowhere near close to is going to be the Ascendant ladder, because essentially from what it sounds like, unfortunately Ascendant is just not being played. It started off a little bit rough because it was on the patch that not a lot of people liked, with the whole Revenants kind of stuff, right? So kind of burned a few people there, and then just trying to find a game now is so difficult. To the point where climbing is definitely hard, but Axel from Apex is going to be able to take the lead here for the Ascendant side of things. Fox Spirit in second, with Furies right behind them as well in third. I say right behind, but it's actually a pretty considerable margin between second and third there. With Magma, Sir Dexter, we've got Bondaddy Ratty, Sota, Wolverine, Hector, and Zypet to round up the top 10. There's Dr. Spoon and Squawk in 12th, or 11th and 12th respectively. 13th for Kirito Hype. We have Tank the Bang at 14, Nuts 15, Illuvium Hunter going to be in 16th, Goofy Rampfire 17th, Kirizawa in 18th, there's Hoshi from Atlas in 19th, and then Androa wraps up the top 20. Sitting rather nicely. Last but not least, of course, for Illuvium Zero, who's been burning the most fuel, it seems like Jackie has been on top, with Sergio right beside them alongside Jub. Seeing lots of Jub here across the Beyond and Zero boards as well, but looking rather nice there. I imagine with maybe a little bit of the remnants from the Wave 5 of Illuvium Beyond, that the amount of rewards given based off of the fuel and revenues and such might be a little bit on the higher side, but again, not financial advice, and I'm not 100% sure of that, so do not take my word as gospel. However, I would imagine, or at least I'm going to guess, that the fuel rewards here for this week might be a little bit on the higher side compared to average. Outside the top 3, we do have Teresa, we've got Daniel, we've got Money Shine, we've got Bunny, 1725, Test 001, and Draknian going to round up our top 10 here. With that, that is our leaderboards for the time being, and now will be our opportunity to get a monthly check-in on the top 100 collections here in Illuvium, your top 100 players as a whole, based off of their Illuvium collection, the power associated with that as well. Let's see who's been making any moves, or what kind of passes have been done over the last little bit. Let's get on to that right here, right now. Alexa still holding the top spot by over 10 million as of this moment here over Dr. Spoon, with Bond Daddy Ratty right behind Dr. Spoon. Sota hype is still there, however, having a little bit of a sell-off, it looks like. Not too considerable of one, though. Only 363,000 points down. For Dexter with a decent little move up here. Zypet, though, moving all the way up into the 6th position after a almost 18 million point swing. And a lot of that, of course, can absolutely be given towards arena leveling, but that's not everything. A lot of players have been leveling up their Illuvials here. So maybe finding a couple on the market as well. Maybe the auto drone runs going in their favor, but either way, Zypet moving up. Blaze Leclerc as well, 11.5 million point move there. DMTG with a huge one, 64 million. That is easily the highest mover I think we've seen so far. DMTG, wow, quiet has been absolutely crushing it, it looks like. Also don't want to sleep on Furies, of course. I did kind of skip them there, but currently labeled in 8th. Basically staying steady, just with a little bit of experience going into their pocket, I'm sure. We see Hector moving up, a good 5 million swing alongside Fox Spear, and then Toriel, a couple million each there. Positivity's actually in the negatives, it looks like, with Goofy Ramfire moving up by 2 million. Deno up into 15th as well. Squawk on the move, million point swing there. Nocacho and Bora. Nocacho up by 1 million. Sir Dexter with a heck of a sell-off here, it looks like. 3 million points down, but I mean, Sir Dexter had so many damn Illuvials. You could probably get away with selling that and still be super, super powerful. I'm not worried about Sir Dexter at all. Carrots of Hype. Let's see what else as we hop into our... Or excuse me, let me rephrase that. Hero Hype rounds up our top 20, but let's see what other huge moves have we seen here in the top 100. We do have one that's just literally an address, not even a name, but a 10 million swing there. Illumination going up there by 1 million, it looks like as well. Any other big movers? Almost 2 million there for Draknyan, aka Crypto Quick Chat here on YouTube. Ubar up 1.5 million. Any other big movers either way? Solaris 1.2 million up. G-Hamster 2.5 million up. Okay, there's a big one actually, a 48 million. It looks like this is actually from a brand new account, considering that their total score matches their monthly gross. So what a way to introduce yourself. How do we even pronounce this? Inanity. A huge introduction, to say the least. Nice moves there. And then there I am, currently showing up as 71 with about just over 1 million in terms of growth. With majority of that, I'd say 99% of that is probably by levels. But of course, the community graciously did donate me a couple of Illuvials to use for the arena as well. So those will absolutely be factored in here as well. Which again, massive thank you to everybody who did that. That got me in a very, very comfortable spot here in the arena. Mothpuck with a big move, showing up from nowhere, even though they've been around for a little bit, I feel like. But this month, they've gone absolutely crazy, making their way all the way up to the 88th spot on the leaderboard. Doom with a hell of a sell-off, it looks like. Almost 4 million down as this moment. And in terms of any other spots, I do see we do have Big Man JB in the chat. Well, they've moved up from 100, they're up into 99 now. Moving on up with Balu, currently shown as the gatekeeper of the top 100. Next up on the docket is in regards to House League. We'll get involved in that in just a moment's time, but I trapped my cat in the room. I'll be 1 second. Come on. All right. So, of course, one of the things that was announced just on Monday, of course, is the House League that I'm going to be running. I'm very thankful that everybody was so supportive of the silent treatment, which then kind of got me going into now making this House League. Of course, to those that may not quite know, I'll quickly reiterate it here, but the idea is that this is going to be a semi-casual but a competitive environment every single week on Fridays during my time or my stream time slot on Friday afternoon. So it's 3:30 p.m. my time, ends up being, I believe, like 7:30 p.m. UTC or something along those lines. But come on into these battles. You'll be, or the sign up sheets are currently out as of right now. The Discord's been making it difficult. Every single time I try to link the sign up sheet, it blocks me. Heck, even this stream actually got blocked by the Illuvium Discord just because the moderation levels are just tackling all links, which I definitely do understand. It definitely needs to be done. But the idea, we are getting signups in here where when you sign up, you get put into a division based off of your power level. And with that, you'll always have some sort of match-made game, and it'll be so much closer and more exciting for everybody because of that. And so far, we definitely will be running it. I was kind of worried for a little bit that maybe the first week, all of a sudden, maybe we wouldn't have enough people to run it, but nope, I do not have to worry in the slightest, no matter what. As of this moment, we do have enough for Monarch Masters. Our top level division does have nearly a full lobby. I think I have one more spot left for sure. But again, if you're interested in the Monarch Masters and are worried about not getting that last spot, if I happen to get enough for a additional lobby, heck, maybe I split those two lobbies up and then we have two lobbies of Monarch Masters. I'm completely a-okay with that idea. Just get more matches and more prizes out there, because of course big or I don't want to say big prizes, but just because I'm trying not to overhype, but like say for the Caribou Cup, getting our newcomer divisions, the starter decks are going to be out there. It's the only way that you can actually get your own Illuvials free to play as the current standing of Illuvium and its universe. So if you happen to know any newcomers that are joining the game, have maybe only a couple of Illuvials or something along those lines, definitely encourage them to come on in and sign up, because you just got to get into the top 3. Just play off of tactics, and then you got yourself some of your own Illuvials. Similar idea with the Lynx League. We do have a couple signed up for Lynx League as well. Not enough to run a lobby just yet, but we still have a couple or a day or two to get a couple more players in for House League. Of course, some auto drone runs going to be the prizes there. And then of course, Monarch Masters, like I was saying, we will for sure have a full lobby, I imagine, for Monarch Masters. Only one more before we end up maxing out a lobby. And if we need to make another lobby, we'll make another lobby. I'm okay with it as long as we have time for it. It will depend on how our other divisions are doing. But as it stands right now, we'll just have the one lobby for Monarch Masters as it stands, but we've still got some time. And while we're here, I do want to touch on, of course, I mentioned earlier, the silent treatment, the little events that we did have last weekend, or last Friday, or it did end up being won by Wolverine 777 Hype. They were able to end up getting that one, and I believe in terms of the auto drone prizing, they did let that one go over to the random picker wheel, which then ended up giving the Spud King a heck of a auto drone run, where I believe they had gotten themselves, at least one of those Illuvials was fighting fit. I couldn't remember if it was a Jokel, but there are some good Illuvials. They got a Goliath there as well, so of course a tier 5 stage 2. That was awesome to see. Nefri getting some prizes from Bond Daddy Ratty, doing well as well. And then for Tank the Bank getting into 3rd, they also got Grand Moki some Illuvials as well. All prizes have been distributed. You should be able to find them in your wallet already. In terms of the community side of things, to wrap things up, there was one thing I did want to pull up, which is going to be kind of funny considering it's the CEO, but this is more so of, or not maybe the CEO, I can't remember the exact title there for Kieran, but let me quickly pull this up here in just a second. No, that's the old news. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I had this tab pulled up and then I accidentally closed it. My apologies. I actually don't see it anymore. That's unfortunate. But there was at one point an announcement, or not an announcement, but a post from Kieran Warwick stating how the updates have been going well for the most part, with Illuvium 0, of course, going to be getting an update sometime soon. Of course, we're eagerly awaiting the Sanctum Mesa requests, where our blueprints can get to work and potentially start getting some fuel rewards there as well. But just having something to work towards, I know that's also tied in with the skin system as well, so I imagine that's a whole process. Okay. But in regards to additional community posts here, always got to check and see who's been making content around Illuvium. I know there's not very many of us, so when they do, I want them to be showcased. 9 times out of 10, to be honest, it's basically myself and Big Man JB. And then Scoriox as well, of course, whenever there is the download podcast. Okay, there we go. Let's swap that over. Speaking of Scoriox, there they are. It looks like there's going to be a download episode happening tomorrow. One thing to note, I'm not going to be a part of the download, at least consistently anymore. Nothing wrong with Scoriox or TSG, just the 5 a.m. wake-ups to make the show was a little bit unfortunate. Of course, the time zones. I'm happy that Illuvium, of course, is a worldwide game, but with that, unfortunately, the time zones were just a little bit too tough. And I would wake up early, get on the show, and then I'd just be an absolute wreck for the rest of the day. So unfortunately, unless it's a specific topic that I'm kind of like have a better expertise or a better knowledge in, I won't be consistently on the download. But again, it's no shot towards Scoriox or TSG, nothing like that. All's good. I enjoy working with them. Heck, I still even use Scoriox's app, for example. Love everything that they're doing, just the time slot was a little bit too much. What that here was Illuvium finally breaking through, breaking down the risk to earn style. Of course, that's going to be Illuvium Deathmatch, which would, in theory, I mean, there was no necessarily release date set, but I think they had mentioned that they wanted to have Illuvium Deathmatch at least testable by the end of the month, so maybe that's something to keep in mind over the last couple of days here for March. But again, I'm not going to hold my breath until I see a release date. This will be the year of Illuvium. It is awesome to see and hear the positivity coming out of Scoriox there. McEwan streaming some Illuvium as well, getting attuned to the new system, which I imagine would be difficult. I believe McEwan joined Illuvium while it was the old system, so this is probably going to be a brand new learning experience for them. Looking forward to supporting them on their stream here as well. We had touched on Crypto Quick Chat as well. There they are once again. There's Big Man JB as well, continuing the stream grind. I can't remember. I had tuned in a couple, I can't remember if it was the last stream or a few streams ago. Were you 1v1ing your kid in Ascendant? I thought that was adorable. And I love to see that. That was cool. Of course, I threw out a few videos over the last little bit as well. One of the things that Scoriox is also working on was their own little Illuvium spin-off title, and how you would end up using AI to develop the game and animate. And Scoriox has been kind of going through the process of how that's all getting done with their videos here. It's a pretty cool watch. Definitely recommend checking it out as well. And then this clip here from JB as well, I know they posted it on X, but while it was the Crazy Dust Revenant, did end up pulling off a victory even through the Crazy Dust Revenant. It was a 1v1 versus kid. That's awesome. I love that. There's my stream. Gaming Daily taking a look at Illuvium as well. I believe, yeah, Kieran had an interview with Gaming Daily. It was on a bunch of different platforms here. This is just the YouTube version, but I imagine there was the one on X that kind of took off a little bit. and I'm still kind of kicking myself a little bit. The day that I crash out over the state of the Illuvium Arena, the day after a patch came out. So I feel bad just kind of bashing, especially if it was already a work in progress. They enjoy it as well. That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. But I'm not gonna lie, we actually had to scroll pretty far today before we actually started people talking about crypto coins. So I'd argue that's an improvement. We actually have a lot of content coming out over the last few days, over a handful of us, of course. JB, myself, Crypto Quick Chat, McEwan, Scoriox. I mean, we're all over the place. And finally, getting a little bit more traction in terms of getting some content out here for Illuvium, because the less that we think about this as a crypto project, and the more that we think about this as a game, the better chance of actually finding success, in my opinion. So it's good to see people streaming the game, competing, learning the game at the same time, whether they're new or veterans. And it's not just all about earning, because that was a mistake from the beginning. It's a nice bonus, but it should have never been the forefront. And I know a lot of crypto gaming companies and games with that mindset definitely burned. And I definitely do not want to see that happen to Illuvium, because it's going to be an interesting month. Creature capture genre is about to go nuts. I'll kind of talk about it here in just a second, but of course we're going to be moving on over into the arena post show. Gone through basically everything that I wanted to go through in terms of the news here today. Wasn't a whole heck of a ton to talk about, but other things, there's definitely some interesting things, of course, with the arena reverts back to the old synergies, with our leaderboards and top collections, and of course House League. Our first session of House League will be this Friday coming up. Regardless of what skill level you happen to be at or what your collection level is, there is a division for you, and I'd love to come see you compete. All right. I think they might have pushed the patch more after that's... I mean, it's definitely possible. I don't want to take credit for it, because I don't want to make it seem like my word is any stronger than anybody else's. But just from being involved in the community and whatnot, just for the most part, I'd argue I'm one of the more positive ones in the space, where even like some negative things kind of go by, I'll talk about it, but I won't give it too much of a hard time. And the state of Arena at that point there even had me losing my mind. And again, I don't want to ever make it seem like my word is more important than anybody else's. But maybe it did raise some eyebrows. I'm not going to take credit for it, because it wasn't just me talking about it. Everybody who is still playing Arena, the dedicated few, were raising their voices about it. And thankfully, I'm glad they did. One of the things that I didn't actually touch on in the Arena Insights was that player numbers over the last 3 days, if I compare it to last week's This Week in Illuvium, I believe there was a total of about maybe 113 unique players. Today, when I turn the page on, I'd have to go back into the VOD to get the exact number. Or actually, no, do I still have the tab open? Oh, I still have the tab open. 203. So nearly doubling the player base because of the patch. That's kind of huge, in my opinion. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about right here. Yeah. 203 unique players. I believe this is over the last 3 days. So if I compare this again to This Week in Illuvium from last week, I believe again it was around 113. So a massive jump compared to what was a crappier patch. And I'm definitely very, very thankful. Dr. Spoon, hello there. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm just quickly getting things situated to go hop into the arena myself for the Illuvium, or This Week in Illuvium Arena post show. Because I also have some work to do. As it stands right now, if I wanted to stay within the $10 mark, so the top 20 of the rewards, I am literally right there on the bubble. So I need to climb. I made such a bad mistake earlier in terms of rewards. It was fun, don't get me wrong, but in terms of strategy, it cost me dearly. I intentionally went for a 4-shock build in the arena today, and I hit it. I still got absolutely destroyed, and I got 5th in that game. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got 5th. Okay, I'm going to lose a couple of points, right? It won't be too huge. 20 points! I lost 20 points for going shock. And with it being so close to the snapshot, that was definitely a brutal mistake. And I've been trying to kind of recuperate from that ever since. I think I've recuperated and then some now, but it took me a little bit to actually get there. That was painful. It was definitely a mistake. Assuming that we can actually queue up here, and I don't think this is an Illuvium problem. I think this is just my computer chugging. Yeah, it might just be my computer chugging a little bit. So if I'm stuttering, it's not you, it's probably me. I'll be 1 second just trying to get this all fixed up. Close some of these tabs here and hopefully get this computer back into place. Ranger level is now working. I had saw that. I was wondering why my Ranger was showing up as level 32. Do you happen to know exactly what equates the Ranger level? Like, what determines it? I know it was in a patch somewhere. I just can't remember it off the top of my head, unfortunately. There we go. Average level of your collection. Okay. Perfect. If only that was... I'm not sure if it is, but if only that was a way that you can actually, like, say, go onto the website and see that level. Because I imagine that would be a much easier way to say, like, how I'm doing what I'm doing with the... House League, trying to get everybody sorted by divisions. I imagine it would be much easier if I could just say, hey, anybody Ranger level 1 to 15 is in Caribou. Yeah, I only noticed the fix in actually having levels today. Today was the first time I've seen it. Yeah, same thing. 2 days ago, my Ranger was 1. And seeing that, I was just building essentially utility augments and weapon upgrades for my weapons because I damn well wasn't doing any damage. Okay, I think my computer's finally healed a little bit. There is the one bug kind of currently going on where if you sit in a queue too long, it actually doesn't put you properly into the queue. There's been a few times where I've had to leave and join back in, and then all of a sudden I'm in a game. But unlucky, I might have just missed one. Supposed to be the average level of your first slot in the team picker. Okay. Well, definitely got to get them all leveled up, which, speaking of leveling up, I was hoping that I would have been able to do this on stream, but it actually just happened while I was off stream. But I finally have my first level 60. My Caradulo hit 60 on my last game. So I finally, it's been literally years, but I finally got a level 60. It won't be much longer before I have a second, I feel like, as well. I know my Axon currently 58. It's almost there. And then, yeah, Archos, yeah, Goyle's almost there as well. 59. It's pretty much right there. So close to actually hitting those 60s. Keep it for Illuvium. You can see average level on the website. Okay. I see. Oh, this is kind of interesting. I don't think there is a official leaderboard based off of collection like what, say, Illuva Rank has currently. If you're missing an Illuvial, it counts as 1. Well, as long as it's just taking slot 1 into consideration, I'm in fine shape. But if we're taking into slot 2, there could be some instances where I might actually be a little bit cooked, especially in the later stages, like say only having the 1 phosphorus, for example. I'd have a couple of spots where I'm a little bit cooked for the tier 5 side of things. I didn't even realize I had that other Ephisto. Hang on a minute now. Oh, that's what I did. I had put the glass cannon one in there for the sake of, it's Omega. It's there to just nuke a field anyway. Any other one of those? 2 Squizzes, that part's fine. Only the 1 Dual F. 2 Synalfs. Yeah, there's a few spots. As long as I don't have to worry about slot 2, then yeah, we're good. Yeah. At no point do I have to worry about slot 2. I'm just kind of kicking myself, actually. If I'm going based off of average level, let me go back there, actually. So some of these Illuvials, does it take tier 0s into account? Do you know? Because I might just have to do a couple of games once rewards are done for the week, and just like try to level up maybe some of these tier 0s so that I can actually buff my Rangers level, in theory, if it's working how I'm thinking. And maybe play some team comps that I'm not necessarily accustomed to. Yes, it does take them into consideration, eh? Because I was gonna say, level 32, that feels kind of low for me. But this is why it's all of my tier 0s. Yeah, my tier 0s are rather weak. There's a couple of other team compositions, like say my Rota, for example, it's only level 25, so it's kind of weak. I hardly ever use Gorillas, so they're pretty low. Yeah, tier 0s are counted, all right. I mean, at least with stage 3s, they're automatically 40, right? So, like, that part, you're all right, or at least personally, I'd be all right with that. That'd be able to bring it up a little bit. But I mean, that gives me something to work on. But then it also kind of begs the question for myself, for maybe some of these other Illuvials that I'm not using so much. Is it better for me to just say screw experience or screw TBI and just put the ones with the highest levels? There's gonna be some instances, like say right here, where it doesn't matter. I think I had this guy here just for the sake of Hollow, but that'd be a short-term solution. The proper solution should be just leveling up everybody. Yeah, gives me a reason to go try out some of these other things. Especially rogues. Like, again, Chuko so low, Coral so low. I've hardly touched the tree kangaroos. Heck, my T-Ruro is still 25, and that's my best one. So if you see me playing rogues for a week sometime, that's why, because I'm trying to level them up to get my ranger level up. Because especially on the Scion front, my ranger level is currently 32. So it's not bad, but it still has a lot of work to do. And especially if level is it's just being brought down by a lot of things that are easy to do, just not team comps that I play, then okay, I can get to work on that. But yeah, so if you all of a sudden see me playing a bunch of rogues next week, that's why. Because especially playing Scion, I do lean on my ranger a lot. And today I felt the big difference now that there is actually a level. Even with the Earthgrass Scepter, it never felt like it packed that big of a punch for me, even when I did go build it towards Omega Power. But even today, I was building it as a Resistance Shredder and a Silence, and it actually felt like it had a punch to it. Yeah, not too shabby. Thank you. Yeah, we're halfway there. It's around the level, like, say 30 to 35, where I'd argue that's when your Illuvials or your Ranger actually can start competing a little bit, at least off of just average use. Obviously, you want them as high as possible, but like, say somebody new, if all of a sudden they have their stage 2s into the 30, mid-30s, they can at least hold their own most of the time, and they're not always going to get completely demolished by, say, someone who's more so a mid-high level player, like, say, myself. Obviously, there's going to be some of my Illuvials I'll give you a hard time, but you'd be able to hold your own at least a little bit. Because what is it again? Like, every single level is 1% increase on, what? Damage, Omega Power, and health? It's a 30% bonus of sorts for getting up to the 30s, or 35 from mid-30s. Definitely a good push in its own right. Now, I am torn. We're at 7 out of 8, but do I need to leave and rejoin queue? I am not sure. Yeah, for this week, I do have a couple of goals still to get through before we even get to House League on Friday. With the new synergies coming on through, the next part of, I guess, my beginner's guide of sorts. Oh god, there we go. We got ourselves a hell of a lobby here this time. But as a part of my newcomers getting into Illuvium, the next thing that I want to talk about is the synergies. So I want to get a video of that out by tomorrow or Friday, if possible. Just explaining everything as best as possible. Because I'd argue the synergies are not that complicated, but they're just wordy sometimes, if that makes sense. Okay, hang on here. So if I'm actually taking Ranger level into consideration, there, go my Valente, I never use you, but take the field. Yeah, level 32 is what I'm at right now. And I argue I probably shouldn't even necessarily evolve them. Again, first slot. Oh, this Flish has got a ton of mileage on it, my goodness. That's just what's funny. My habits compared to optimized play are two completely different things. Slots 1, let's get Rota out there. Let's see, always good to put some additional points here onto the links, if possible. Graco, you can go out there. Didn't necessarily give myself a good thing to synergize with. Let's just go for air for some additional dodge, I guess. Willie D out here with... Okay, this actually makes it so much easier for me to actually tell the level of collection that I'm up against without just right-clicking everybody's Illuvials. I found that so difficult before to kind of judge who I'm going up against. If I could just right-click on the Ranger now, that's so much easier. Yeah, we'll see what happens when I get to Fury or Axel in this one. Okay, weapon-wise, I am not getting anything that I like until the Emberling Rod shows up. There we go. Perfect. Level up to 4. Let me keep Rota here for now. We'll combine this into the engine. Legendary. Could potentially go for... I'm going to be going... Yeah, I could go for that. We'll go for Hyper Striker, but the intention of this will then to be a physical Scion variant. I'll have enough Scions naturally, so give me Empath instead. I did not position correctly, and then Strip Mode here is, of course, a bot, but of course, they actually have levels, and the Ranger, of course, now actually has levels here as well. So again, you can't just be greedy versus bots anymore, and honestly, good. Hyper Generation, I don't care. Combat Rhythm, that's a good pick, probably. Or I can go for the Accelerator. I think Combat Rhythm will be the play. Should stop worrying about leveling. I'm actually just kind of playing the game as of this moment. Do something like this, potentially. A little slow on getting that. I will end up wanting to turn that into a full attack damage-based augment. Whether it be the one that gives me 40% plus damage amp, or the percentage health damage option is also a good one for the team comp that I have in mind. And that, with the legendary augment that we did pick up here as well, is going to be quite nice. If they're just going to give me an Atipo like that, I think I'll gladly accept. Now, yeah, if I right-click on Fury, Fury is at about 39, so we know Furies have a hell of a collection as well, so that's fair enough there. We are going to get the charged variant. Let's do that. Something like this. Looks like the rogues are going to be incoming. Fury going for some Death Pengu. Are we going to be able to hold? Unfortunately, my Lynx is going to be the next thing kind of targeted, and that is probably going to be the difference maker between me surviving or not, especially since that Penguin's got the double restorating impact reactor. Classic Death Pengu. Okay, cleanse out this one. We will, I believe, need the Flare. I'll gladly accept that over the Graco as this moment. Of course, as always, looking to get myself to that top interest level before I start truly making plays. We'll figure out whether we stand still at level 5 for the sake of getting Seaforus, or maybe we bypass it Speaking of snails, there's one of them. Lynx, thank you for your service. I'll do this. But again, there's no point for me actually keeping 3 scions on the bench anymore. Because there's no threshold for it anymore, right? And don't got necessarily somebody to truly utilize the attack damage as of this moment. We'll try this out just for the lulz. Obviously, it's not optimal, but we'll go for it. There we go. I mean, that's a good little spin right there. That on top of the ranger, I mean, that was some pretty good damage, but it does end up falling pretty quickly. How much of that actually has anything to do with the augments, I have no idea, but man, the fact that 4 or 5 Illuvials just swarmed the flare like that was honestly perfect. Okay, Atlas, there you are. Come on out. Axel, to compare, only level 29. That's different. So just their highs are super high. I imagine it's got to be a scenario where tier 0s are all just so low that it skews the level so badly. That has to be it, right? Yeah, Axel's literally out here running at level 60 Lynx. It's probably going to absolutely mess my day up here in just a moment's time. That's a lot of spread out damage, but none of these Illuvials actually falling unless Ranger. Do you have something in the tank by chance? One more cast. No, we're going to be just a little bit short. Unlucky. Void Cleaver on that thing as well, getting multiple targets per hit. We do have TNT. TNT check. Let's take a look and see what we have before we make any other moves. I don't see anything on the board, but let me check the players nice and quick. I've started doing this manually in case people don't use it on the board, but have it in the background. Not a single snail on the field. We're gonna roll for it, and thank God we did. We got a handful of snails nice and quick here, to the point where I'm 1 away from C-Forest already. That has to be the cleanest start to getting C-Forest I've ever seen. There's a lot of players that don't have stage 3 tier 0s, and that's crazy to me. That's so crazy. They were literally free to get. Obviously, it was hard trying to either fuse into a stage 3 tier 0 or find one out in the wild. Like, yeah, those were both very difficult, but I'm so surprised that it bit so many players. Okay, Harbinger online. Can we find Snow? We do find our Archos. That's a good find. Snag one more for the road. We're not going to find our C-Forest just yet. I could absolutely be doing Toxic Harbinger. Let's do that instead. Maybe give Axon some more of these. And of course, my level 60 Kiradulo going to lead the charge and try and provoke everybody. Willie D diving on through this little Verminio. I mean, almost level 40 on that thing, so it can absolutely pack a punch if it finds the right spot. But thankfully, it's just dealing with my Archos and the Axon, so they're both going to hold the line rather nicely. TNT shall be able to open fire in just a matter of time. There we go, big damage. Able to hold the line quite nicely. Let me get to that 70 threshold again. I'll get rid of the one Archie to get there. Let's see, health is Omega Power. I mean, that's tempting. Resistances per second, definitely tempting. But we're going against Furies, who's going for Rogue, right? So I need something physically safe if I'm going for something like that, I think. I think I'll just take the bonus regen Can we find the snail? Any chance? Go to 66. Nope, no snails yet. They're free but difficult. They're selling for... Oh yeah, like once that announcement came out saying that the overworld was closing, I remember we were taking a look at it during the This Week in Illuvium segments back when it was the old Illuvidex, and it was astonishing to see like a fighting fit tier 0 was extremely pricey. There we go. Seaferous has arrived. Let's get the Invoker immediately set up. Rest of our credits going to levels. Start to build out the wall a little bit. Fury is here as well. In fact, let's bring them on over because you can utilize this way better. I'll position you a little bit better for the next round. Like now we can actually start to ramp up this Seaforce a little bit. Started around the 200% Omega power mark. But as we can see, now that Invoker actually does something, it is going to just kind of pump up this Seaforce over and over to the point where it's going to start punching through all the heals and all of the shields. Do have the stacking Omega power over time as well onto that arcane Omega reactor here as well. Every second Omega gives attack speed. Let's set ourselves up a little bit different to compensate for this new suit. So I'll do something like this so that the Ranger is here, but then I can now add Fury over here. What fits better in this spot, I wonder? Does Axon have to go there? No, it has to be something a little bit bigger, right? Okay. We'll do something like this for now, going up against Dead Chat Sam, one of the bots. So we'll do that. Everything else go into level. My obligatory tier 0 calling in just a second here. I think I was laughing with somebody in the comments of one of my videos yesterday, how they were in pain seeing how long I hung on to my tier 0s every game. I swear I bench block myself at least once per game. Trying to get, or hold on to too many tier 0s. Okay, level up one more time. Flare, join the squad. Now we're up against Furies. This one, I imagine, will be a tough one. Let me be a little bit more strict in regards to positioning. Again, it's going to be this damn Penguin. Does they have Vanguard online? They absolutely do. 7 rogues. So this is going to be a tough squad. Again, this is the beauty of rogues, right? You can get them so early. And you can absolutely snowball the game out of control if things go your way. Yeah, that was a level 60 Kiradulo immediately getting popped, but at the same time, I think that Penguin was also level 60, so I can't really complain. Yeah, it's level 60. And this is Furies. Furies, of course, loves their rogues. So the fact that they're still nice and strong, I'm sure is perfect there for them. Picking up where they left off. Now up against Axel, who got a really quick Rip Lance, actually, but it's only level 40. This is new, though. We don't normally see Axel with the Rip Lance, but I mean, damn, it's a pretty good one. Nearly perfect. That is definitely a scary, scary... Oh, Rip Lance there. It's got the Void Cleaver on this thing as well. I very well just might get shredded. Let's see how this one goes. Got lots of safety nets here as well alongside that Void Cleaver there too. You have the Phase Breaker to go untargetable. You've got the attack damage shield that's going to come on through at some point as well. And there's just enough disruption and enough of a swarm still to be able to take me down. So down to about 50% health now. 49 to be specific, but I'm right around the corner here from level 8. Gladly accept that. Squiz is here. You can then go into that slot. Optimally, I need to find an Alfie because I want to get Toxic Invoker online, if anything, or start finding Headies so I can go for a Wildfire Invoker style. Because right now, Bloom Invoker is not doing me any good. I need to have something swapped out here badly. Let's see, refund or just gain. Let's just gain more. Let's see how much we can turn this Ranger into a carry. Part of me wants to turn this into an attack damage augment. I'm going to be a little bit greedy. I'm going to try to go for 9 before we actually roll. Definitely a possibility here. Definitely the Steam combination of the Rake plus Dual F could be a potential. Would have to do it naturally, though. Can't really involve the Ranger in that play for the time being, anyway. Would definitely utilize the legendary augment that I had squeezed out here. But this is a little bit awkward as well, because since, of course, the Synergy Revert, I need to hit these max thresholds. But if I sit and roll at 9, I'm only going to have 1. I'm either going to have Bulwarks or I'm going to have Scions. Which one do I wish to do? Maybe have something on the bench so I could choose depending on what I'm going after. A crit chance potentially for auto attacks, but doesn't really help me for the Scion side of things. Resistances. Again, I feel like Furies, it doesn't really care about resistances, but at the same time, we'll give it a shot. We do manage to find our Furiox. We do get the Restorating Impact Reactor, and I'm actually moving it back to Sephirus. There is our Beetle. Could potentially do something. I'm a little too slow, looks like, unfortunately. Of course, Fury picking up some Scarebox as well, though. Does have that Goliath online. But a play even before the Synergies changed over, one thing that I loved doing was putting a Restorating Impact Reactor onto a Sephirus, because it was able to clutch in a handful of scenarios, but I don't think it gets anything this big. This is just outnumbered, out-leveled. As you can see, every time we manage to get a kill, we do get a good chunk of health back, but not versus Fury. Not a chance. Here we go, though. Alfie's online now. Okay, let's get them in. Tuck them in like this. I need to get some levels, get some evolutions going on through here. Do have 5 Scion now online because of this. I don't have enough to level up again to get my Bulwark. Axel's Rip Lance is definitely terrifying. Let's see how we can do up against it. There we go. Good little kill right before the Squiz goes down. Sephirus out of the range of the Lallura Charm, at least the first time. But we haven't ramped up anywhere near enough. The immunity's doing me nice and good there, but damn. I need to definitely make a move rather quickly. We do find ourselves another Invoker. Now, this is the bot. Do I get greedy and not roll yet? I feel like I can, because it's the bot. Would leave a lot of those Furioxes off or back into the shop for next round 2. If I could somehow land the killing blow here onto the bot. But this is playing with fire. If I get 5th again, we're going to let this go and see what happens. But if this goes wrong, this is actually going to be really punishing, not just for this game, but for the sake of the reward standings as well. This would absolutely delete, like, what, 20 points off me again? And that'd be kind of scary, but I think we're going to be able to clean it up. Get ourselves into that top 4, but the fact that I'm even thinking that way versus bots now just goes to show how tough they actually are now. Did get our Twine now online here. We gracefully have gotten ourselves an NPC round. I never tracked these things anywhere near as good as I should have, so this is the best case scenario. If we can somehow get the NPCs, then go up against the other bot, maybe we could truly maximize on credits. But if not, if we go up against Fury or Axel, we definitely got to make a move quickly. And we got Fury, so we got to make a move now. Shields, all the shields so far. Do something along these lines. Now we level. Get Scarabok online, so we have that 5th bulwark now in action as well. Do something like, oh, something like that potentially. Let's start rolling. What can we find in the meantime? Not a whole heck of a lot, really. So hopefully just getting the bulwark for that reflective damage, hopefully that is enough to turn this battle around. We did a good job of blocking. The bunker was sealed. Good spot there for the Singe. Lots of damage and a good shot there from the Sinolf as well for damage onto the Penguin. But again, an absolute brutal massacre coming out here from Furies with the team that they absolutely know and love. Going to kill me and actually put me behind the bot. So I'm going to end up getting 4th here. Kind of painful. We're just going to get the 1 point. In terms of experience, about 38. So yeah, that was a tough lobby. My goodness. Quickly do one more. We have time for one more here today. And it looks like I'm going to jump in pretty much right as one's about to begin. So a best case scenario. I'm definitely crazy with how strong Fury's rogues definitely were. Quickly double check and make sure all is good. Looks like we're a-okay as we hop into the next one. Another good lobby. This will be a fun one. This is at least 5, maybe 6 out of 8 too. A relatively larger lobby. Lots of different play styles here in this one as well. Lots of Grackos right off the start. What level is this guy? 20. Here, make the switch. Let the baby go. I'm not sure if it's the one in slot 1, but just in case. Oh, I should have done the Doka. Let's do that for the next round. So in this one, of course, Taiga Boreal. So all drone augments are going to be stage 3. That shall be nice and exciting. Big buffs for everybody. Oh no, that's the one for slot 1. Okay. Yeah, not gonna worry about that. Let's just play properly. I'm gonna get lost if I try and take care of this right now. 3 bulwarks nice and quick. Pick up ourselves a little flish. And of course, in this one, we've got Willie D making a return once again. Warfighter and Joroa, Kirito, all players that absolutely give me a run for my money, so that's going to be a tough one. And then depending on how things go here for Sanya, I know they love rolling early. if things go their way, it could snowball out of control. A little bit lower, at least on the level side of things, but that does not mean that we sleep on their ability to compete. Do something along these lines for now. I don't want to commit any of my augments just yet. I have a pretty nice starting setup if I wanted to do something Aegis. Potentially get a restorating impact reactor and then a attack damage centered augment. We got to get there first, and of course the numbers game going to go in Sanya's favor so far. So we'll take a quick hit. See what we do end up picking up. I mean, it's right there in my face. We got a couple. Okay, we've got so many options here. We got grass coming out here from Kirito. Androa's got rogues. Warfighter's got rogues. Sanya's got rogues. And then Willie's gonna pass. You know what? Let's bring the flail out. Let's commit to Aegis. That's a good start. That's a really good start. And then get our Flish on there just because we can up against Fumble Lock. So I believe it's one of the bots. Even still level 26 for a bot. That's not bad. I think the only one that would somewhat contest me on what I'm going for would be Kirito, depending on what kind of empath-based strategy they're going for. Of course, they too could in theory link up with one of their bulwarks and go for Aegis as well. Maybe some sort of Verdant Aegis kind of style. Definitely a potential. Of course, now I'm finding a bunch of stuff that I would want for my Scions, but maybe I'll go for the big energy regen. Scion imprint. I mean, the physical resistance might have been a wiser choice given the amount of rogues in this game. Kind of kicked myself a little bit, but we'll see. This was definitely the greedier of the two options. We'll see if it punishes me later. I mean, one Illuvial that's not going to mind, at least early on here, is going to be my Lynx. Get more of those chops out just that much quicker. Okay. Here, do we try hard mode this one? Just play it like this. And grab ourselves a Kuka. A little bit of extra reinforcements here for my Lynx. Up against Kirito right now. Kirito level 35. Ranger anyway. Has the level advantage on me. And putting that Lynx directly in the back. So let's see how this goes. Actually, my Kuka going for a little bit of a wander might be a benefit, but does end up going for the Graco. It's just a matter of where my Lynx goes next. Going after the Ranger. Can we get rid of those shields nice and fast? Not in time, though. It's going to be a 4-on-1 against me. Not going to be able to take another one down. Kirito going to knock me down a peg. Okay, little Rip has arrived. Let's get rid of the Lynx. Riptor, come on through. Potentially do something like this too for the time being for a little bit of additional fighter buff. Archie is here as well. I'm surprised I almost missed that. Definitely going to want them on board. Warfighter going heavy into the Lynxes as well as Androa, so I'm kind of glad that I did not go for it. Hera Blue, yes, swap out with Graco. Speaking of Androa, there they are, level 25 Ranger. Still, Lynx is a little bit low, but everybody else is doing quite nice, it looks like. Just go for some more damage. do the disruptive for no shenanigans. Maybe do a little bit of a setup similar to this here. All the rogues are going to dive in. Let's make a little bit of maze for the rogues. Hold them up a little bit over in the corner. I don't have the level advantage right now. Gonna take out the links. Riptor, can you get one more sting in? Not enough to get a kill, not enough to get a heal, so gonna fall behind. But now we're gonna be in max economy state. Looks like I'm leading the lobby in that regard, but granted not by that much. Seeing the Fury there is definitely making me question things, but I'm actually going to go past it. Could very well just give me a Lynx right here, right now, if I really wanted to. With so many people contesting the Lynx, maybe I just do so just to be a thorn in their side. Is there anything else that I specifically want for the time being? I don't think so. Do something kind of like this for now. A little bit of a mixture of a front line plus back line defense. My ranger is going to get crunched once their ranger. Did I beat it already? I might have. Oh no, it's right there. 33 there for Warfighter. Battle overall going into Warfighter's way now that my Scorpion's going to get swarmed on as well. Well, definitely take some heat early. Thania did scoop up a Riptorus for themselves. That's a little disheartening. Let's see. I'd like to get the Archie at least before I move up. And I'm missing it so badly, unfortunately. Wow, not gonna get it at all. That's heartbreaking. Here, let the ranger go chase after the empaths while the rest of us deal with everything else over here. Get the sting on the little Rampy right before it pops off. That works. And my Riptor is going to go right into the line of fire. That's a little annoying. I should have probably put a tank up there instead of the ranger. Even though it's a bulwark weapon, I got to remember that the ranger isn't necessarily very good at tanking right now. I think we'll get away with it anyway, but this could have been done definitely much more optimally. Clean out some of these tier 0s. Burning energy or empowered attacks. AoE. Do the AoE, please. Where is Archie? I am getting absolutely cooked here. We do need the Caradulo as well. Gladly accept that. And there we go. Now we can actually get ready to make some moves here. Take one of those away. Put you up here. Let's get you locked up. Aegis online. And do something like this. So it's going to be the little Riptor that's end up boosted for the time being. There we go. Going up against the Riptorus over on the other side here for Sanya, which is 27. Thankfully, little Rip going to be able to do a great job at taking them down. And now the team kind of starts to come together a little bit, especially once I find Riptorus, it'll start to take shape a little bit. But I do see that I have to be careful. Sanya's looking at this game in rather similar lenses. An additional empath chip potentially. Attack damage as pure damage. I mean, that'd be kind of strong, I think. Attack speed in general, just for everybody. I don't know. I want to try and see the pure damage and see what happens. We'll level up. Let's get another empath out here so we do have 2 empaths. Scoop up another Kuka. I've been getting a ton of Rai out here, but I am not interested in going for Riley. If anything, My games here earlier today proving to me that shock is definitely not the way. Composites, interesting. So we could go for some more Aegis, I think. Let's do that. Grab our tanks. That was a pretty nice little roll. Or shop, rather. Do the one for physical. Yep, let's do that. Caradulo is my most beefed up in terms of stats, I think. Figuratively and literally as a water buffalo. Get a handful of tanks here as we go up against one of the bots in a second. And we could even go for 5 bulwark by getting Atlas back online. This is obviously not great positioning right now, I get that, but at least for now, 3 Aegis pushed in towards my little Riptor, which is level 41, so it might just be a little guy, but it's been around the block a time or two, to say the least. The double pistol shrimp style coming out here from the bot, but we're going to be A-okay. Plenty of HP to tank. And now that we're at level 7, what's Thanya looking like in terms of scorpions? They only have the one on the bench, and the other thing to note with Thanya in particular is I'm going to get the attack speed. Okay, there we go, nice. Thanya likes to roll heavily, and right now that is still definitely the case. Let me... Is there any tier 1? I still need some tier 1s. I guess I can afford the roll for a little bit. There's another Riptor. I kind of want the Alfie, but I think I'm going to avoid it for now. Double check my positioning on the Caradulo. Make sure that it's not giving the bonuses over to the Archos instead. How about that? The Ranger actually getting into the DPS numbers here. Crazy the difference a couple levels make. The fact that Rangers actually have levels now means I can treat them like a carry even. Interesting. That's definitely going to take some getting used to. Even when I was giving them Scion or fighter weapons or whatever, I always built them utility. I never really built them as a carry. At least that often. The Emberling Rod would probably be the only exception. Here's Kirito. Teddy will pick one up. There we go. Riptorus is here. Axon is here now as well. So that's going to be 3 toxic. And then Riptorus is one of my more used carries from back in the days where I was using heavy Aegis. Already level 50. And then Hello Beautiful. That is a gigantic Lynx directly in front of my Crunk here as of this moment. Let's see how this goes. Riptorus, shred this Lillera as fast as you can. Nice, not even a cast coming on out here. A very fast Gnarl coming out here from Kirito as well. That's kind of a crazy pickup. I'm thankful that the Riptorus has percent-based damage on its Omega. But now, because I don't have a safety button, I'm going to get bursted down once that the Forest, rather, focuses me down. The untargetable, that's exactly what I need. Can the Ranger actually be the one to carry this one? It was kind of looking like it for a second there. Will end up falling. Thanya still completely broke. So part of me still just wants to keep looking for Riptors. And it looks like we're going to be able to find a few. Kukulus, I forgot I even had you here with me. I'd argue that I might be even past your time here. Graco, we don't need you anymore. I don't think I'm getting Caradulox this game. I'll try to keep it as is, but I'm going to move my Crunk down towards the bottom here instead. Try to catch the Penguin. We've seen what Fury could do with the Penguin, so I'm curious as to how Androas will perform here as well. Charm making things extremely difficult. It is a level 60 Pangu doing exactly what we know it can do. shred me up rather badly. I mean, trying to get into the top 4 this time might be rather challenging. I am 1 away from Archelion. There we go. The big turtle is here. That's kind of huge. I'm 2 away from a Blotto as well, and there's no Blottos at all even on the field right now. So you know what? Let's look while we can. There it is, Blotto online for Aegis. Now I just need a carry worth the 4 Aegis title. Can I get the phase breaker? There we go. Just instead of going high damage, go for safety. Give me the healing variants here for the Ranger. Let's buff up Blotto. Now this is going to be a little bit awkward, though. Let's see, how do we position this to get everybody buffing up the Riptorus? Actually, that wasn't too bad. Let's trade this up. Something like this. Rylu's just kind of there for additional assistance for the time being. Let's give that over to Blotto as well. Another nature to hit the threshold, or an empath for some additional shields. I'm gonna try the shields. Now we just need scorpions. Riptorus online here for Sanya, actually, so I'm gonna hang on, not roll anymore. This is really awkward. I'd love to get a Twine. I'd love to, of course, get Riplance, but somebody already had the Gnarl from earlier. And then with Sanya having the Riptorus on the bench, it's going to make rolling for it rather painful. Part of me is hoping that either I go up against Sanya myself or somebody takes them down. It looks like I get to go up against them myself. Is the invulnerability for a few seconds a potential way to go? No combat rhythm. Do combat rhythm. Let's go for levels instead. Not too far ahead, though. And just for a little bit of crowd control temporarily, let Mamu come into the play. Let's even give you this. A little bit crowded on this side, so let me move that over. Let's see if Riptorus can find a way through this fight. Or actually, because it's rogues, they're going to dive on through, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And thankfully, of course, with being 4 Aegis now, all the health from my Illuvials that are giving the Aegis buff also goes into the Riptorus, but it's not going to do anything if they're stuck. But thankfully, these are rogues. They will continue to slip and slide all over the place. And we will be able to clean this up and make sure that we secure our spot in that top 4. GG's to Sanya and Willie D, of course. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely a little relieved. Verdant is now online. Can we potentially find some more scorpions now that they're back in the pool? Find a mammoth for the heck of it. Was that really what I wanted, though? I mean, potentially. I do need to do something to block the Boris. I guess just kind of bring Mammoth over this way, I suppose. Big dive on through. Riptorus swinging away while staying relatively safe. But of course, Rampfight is going to be able to burst on through. But thankfully, we do have a lot of health. Verdant Puddle is now online. Riptorus is fighting into it, but they're the one tanking everything. We do have the phase breaker, thankfully. Has not been triggered yet, I do not think. It should be getting triggered. Can we beat up the Penguin? We're going to be able to. Nope, big shield coming on through one more time. And sure enough, we will actually clutch this out for Aegis. Doing some work here. All right, more scorpions. Can we please find Riplance? There we go. It's online. Part of me wishes I picked up some Monkeers earlier in this game. So I'm kicking myself in that regard, but otherwise, We're in a little bit of a better spot than what we used to be. Big old boosted Rip Lance coming on through in just a moment's time. I think I'll move the Mammoth over to the side here so it's not going to get targeted immediately. The Verdant Puddle should get splashed immediately by the Twine. I imagine there's enough horsepower here to go absolutely nuts. Allura is just going to do its own thing back there. That's fine. It's not hitting anything super, super critical. But these heals coming out from the Adorito is going to make things super annoying. Big stun coming on through. Rip Lance, can you get the job done? You got plenty of HP. We've already hit the 10k damage mark 20 seconds into this fight. But just look at this here from Kirito. We're just not even making a dent, even though we're doing so much damage. That is a little painful. Potentially level up and then kind of all in here. At least after this this break. Maybe even pick up a monk here, see if we can get Berserker online. Yeah, I figure it this way. Because everybody left, I'm still nervous about, and I would much rather push all in and find myself third than hold and get burned. My positioning has to be a little bit better, though. This is the awkward thing about Aegis, right? It is very easy to trap your hyper carry. Okay, good timing here. Let's pick up some Omega Power. Physical damage is energy damage. I mean, I might have to actually give that over to maybe the Alfie or something instead. As much as I would like that, I need the emergency stuff here. Okay, Monk here. Okay, hang on a second, Berserker. A last minute play like this is about a bit of a halfway play. This wasn't an all-in, but we got a lot of things that we wanted, especially Berserker. Yes, my Monk here is going to die immediately, but look at the rest of the work that my Illuvials are doing, especially Rip Lance. Nice and healthy. Tearing through all the supports. Even Sinolf getting involved, taking out the Adorito. But can we lock down the Penguin? It's going to go untargetable. Rip Lance still healthy. Blotto still holding the line rather nicely. Not looking too shabby as the Penguin goes down. Warfighter's also going to fall. But now I have to deal with Kirito once again. Is an all-in the play? I think it has to be at this point, right? Now, I do not want to trap my Riptorus. We're going to level with Sinolf at the very back. We'll make the move this way. And the last one to join will be the little Ador. The Allura is going to come out here to try and be a nuisance, but maybe if I'm lucky, Rip Lance can come deal with it nice and fast. Can't really move anywhere, so we can chop it. Chop it down nice and quick. There we go. We still have our healer. Good shot from the Sinolf, and we did get to jump the Forest relatively quickly into this fight. Rip Lance is going nuts. Sinolf did well, but it is going to eventually fall due to the AoE, and just the backline from Kirito is too damn ridiculous to handle, it looks like. We will end up falling slowly but surely. Androa goes down, but so do I. Kirito is going to absolutely crush this lobby. Lost harder, so Androa gets second. GG's. Little bit of an increase. Which that's something I have to keep in mind now as well, with Caradulo being level 60. Using it as often as I do is going to have diminishing returns. But it's good to see everybody else, of course, get some experience here as well. Definitely happy with all that, all things considered. Just under 50K for what was a relatively quick game. GG's, everybody. All right. And with that, we will be closing things down for the stream for today. Big thank yous, everybody, for tuning in to, of course, the Arena After Show, but also for This Week in Illuvium as well. While it was a little bit of a slower news day, the fact that the community's voice was heard to the point where a new patch came back and brought back the old synergies is a huge win for all of us current, and I'd argue for all the new Illuvium Arena players coming on out there. Speaking of the new Illuvium Arena players, we need ya and would love to get your Illuvium journey kick-started here through House League. Of course, we do have on Friday stream exactly on 3:30 p.m. Eastern or 7:30 p.m. UTC. We will be having a couple of best of ones match made based off of divisions. There's the Caribou Cup, which is dedicated for those that may not have any of their own Illuvials, or for those that only have a couple. This league is dedicated for you. We do also have the Lynx League for those that have a small collection but nothing close to top tier yet. We're looking to build you up as well. And of course, we have the Monarch Masters. We're 100% going to have enough for Monarch Masters this Friday coming up. And even still, bet plenty of prizes coming your way as well. The veterans, we don't want to forget about you either. I'm making big pushes to try and push for newcomers, but at the same time, I do not want to forget about the veterans. Will absolutely have something for you as well. That's going to be the big thing I'm looking forward to. Again, snapshot for those chasing rewards, I believe, is within the next 2.5 hours. So if you want to come knock me out of 20th place, you have a couple hours still to do so. I think I'm still labeled as 20th as of right now. Yeah, I didn't get anywhere near enough points in those two games. I think I got, what, 1 and 3 points over for that third and fourth. The competition has gotten harder, and based off the data that we saw on the Illuva Vault, there is more players back and playing, almost double compared to last week. So I absolutely love to see that. And of course, lastly, of course, big thank you to everybody tuning in once again. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and good luck if I see you in the arena. And of course, always, like always, good luck with all of your training, Ranger. I will see you on Friday for some House League.
Woke up tired, didn't sleep all night. Mine's still running like a traffic light. Red for stop and green for go. I'm stuck somewhere in between them both. Brushed my teeth and checked my phone. Everyone looks like they've already grown. Smiling faces, perfect lives. I'm here asking, what am I doing with mine? I don't have a plan, I just have today. Trying not to throw the little good away. Heart's still heavy, but I'm still here. Taking one small step through the fear. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. I'm scared, but I'm still showing up. One small step is enough today. I'm not fine, but I'm on my way. I'm tired, but I'm not giving up. I'm scared, but I'm still showing up. One small step is enough today. I'm not fine, but I'm